Hello everyone, this is Jackie Williams, and in this short video, I want to show you 3 ways that you can use the spotlight technique in your next crafting project. I'll be using the Daisy Garden stamp set, a beautiful large image, for the first way you can use the spotlight technique. So we would start by first stamping the Daisy Garden on a piece of basic white, and the spotlight technique basically is where we take a larger image and just focus on one area of it. So the next thing to do would be to cut a circle right out of this image, and the layering circles dies is perfect for this. Then you have a variety of circles as well as the scalloped circles that would sit behind it. So here I've used my layering circles dies and just cut a circle right out of my image. Then you'd want to cut out a basic black or similar color. It looks nice to have a color that matches your ink, using the scallop circle that is just larger than your stamped portion. Then the next step would be to color your circle and then layer that up onto the scalloped black circle, and then put that onto your project, lining up the image again. And you can see then that it lines up perfectly, and just that one portion is colored and spotlighted. And this is one way that you can use large images or even your black and white printed paper or similar, and just color in a small portion. So this is my finished sample using the Daisy Garden stamp set, and I actually do have a complete video showing this card from start to finish, and I will put the link here on this video if you're interested in seeing that. So this is the first way that you can use the spotlighting technique. Now for the next way you can use the spotlight technique, I'm going to use the Simply Succulents stamp set. I love this big, beautiful succulent image here. And I am going to use my Stamparatus, and I apologize that my grid paper is already all dirty. I just left it because I've already got it marked as to where my paper needs to go. And then I have set it up, so I'm going to ink up my succulents and stamp those down. And I like to stamp them twice just to get a very black, dark image. Now you don't have to do this in black though. And then I've created a mask just with a piece of copy paper to go over the succulents. So I've basically just stamped out the succulents and then cut it out around the bottom here. And then I'm going to stamp the pot so that the pot will be sitting basically behind my succulents like this. Then I'm going to take my plate out and flip it over, and I've got my words here on the other side of this plate. And again, I'll stamp that twice just to get a really nice crisp image. Okay, now for this technique, rather than cutting out a circle, I'm going to use my die, but I'm not going to use it to cut out. Now you can use any shape you like. The spotlight technique is traditionally a circle, but it certainly doesn't have to be a circle. You can use any of your dies. And what I'm going to do here is lay my die down onto my paper, and then I'm going to use my Stampin' Write marker, the thin end, and then I'm just going to draw within that die, or you could draw outside of the die, depending on the size that you want. And then I'm just going to use my Stampin' Blends and color in within that heart. I'm using Fresh Freesia here. Now, along with the Fresh Freesia, I also use the 900 and 1000 in the new Natural Tones Stampin' Blends. Then once I've colored it, I'm actually going to just ink up my succulents one more time and just stamp it again, just to bring out those dark lines. Sometimes they get a little bit blurry after they've been colored. So that's another way that you can use the spotlighting technique, where you're not actually cutting out, but rather just drawing in the image and coloring within that image. So here is my finished sample. Now you could just color within the heart and leave the rest black and white, but for this one I wanted to just go ahead and color the whole thing, and then just backed it up with some papers that coordinated. It was interesting, although I used the Natural Tone Stampin' Blends and Fresh Freesia, it was actually the Blushing Bride paper that seemed to tone in the best. So when you're watercoloring or mixing colors or using your blends, it is interesting how the colors end up often being not what you really started out with by the time they've mixed together. And then just added some of those great little pebbles there by our pot. Now for the third way that you can use the spotlight technique, I am using the Blessings of Home stamp set. So again, I wanted to use quite a large image, and these flowers are quite beautiful. Again, I'm using my Stamparatus so that I can stamp several times and get a nice dark image. So ink that up, and again I'm stamping with Memento Black, and this time I'm just going to stamp this image up here in the corner. Next, I'm going to take a smaller piece of paper, and this time I'm using a square. And you can measure that out using the grid paper or a ruler, or you can just kind of eyeball about where it would sit to be in the middle. And then we're just going to stamp that image again. This time it will be stamping on this little square of paper. This. Next, you would then color up this piece of paper and then just marry it back up over the top, leaving the remaining black and white. Now, you can use any medium that you wish, depending on what ink you've used and what cardstock you've used. I will probably use Stampin' Blends on this. If you want to blend on additional color on the background, what you would do is create a mask again, just to cover up the image that you will color with your Stampin' Blends, and then using a blending brush or a sponge or something similar, just add some color onto the remainder of the square, and you'll get something that looks like this. So this is my finished sample, and you see where I've put Smoky Slate on the background, and then I've used my Stampin' Blends on the rest of the flower within that square, stamped my words within the square, and then I've also used a little bit of the Gilded Gold leafing there in through the flowers just to give it a little extra detail. So there you go. There are 3 ways that you can use the spotlight technique. You can cut right out of your image. You can use your dies or other template to just create a shape that you color within, or you can stamp on a second piece of cardstock and lay it over top. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you feel inspired to try out the spotlight technique. It's lots of fun. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share. And I'll see you next time. This is Jackie Williams. Bye-bye.